vehicle has landed. Roger, 20.
Boy.
Okay, we're going to be busy for a minute.
July 20th, 1969, man landed on the moon, a major milestone of scientific advancement. It would be difficult to downplay the significance of advances in science and technology to all of us. But what does that have to do with the Christian faith?
A lot of people have bought into some really bad ideas today. One of them is that somehow to be a person of serious Christian faith is to be against science. Well, the great irony is that science arises out of the Christian faith.
The history of science traces back to this Christian motivation to learn about God's creation. Scientists were birthed out of Christianity. We all are familiar with Isaac Newton. And Sir Isaac Newton spent more time writing about the Bible and the prophecies of Daniel than he did on science.
The 17th century German astronomer Johannes Kepler said that scientists, like himself, were priests of the Most High God, and as they cataloged God's work in creation, they were thinking God's thoughts after him.
And then you have Robert Boyle, and he is the one that came up with the laws of pneumatics and pressure. He supported missionaries, and there's lectures there in the universities in England called the Boyle Lectures. And he specifically says he puts some of his money to fund this chair, that every year there are to be a series of lectures defending Protestant Christianity. And the Boyle Lectures went on and on until just a couple years ago. The political correctness says, oh, we're not going to do this anymore. But we had these scientists that were motivated by Christian value.
Almost all early scientists were Christians. So the idea that people were, by their science, finding out or the glories of God's creation is one of long standing. Francis Bacon, the Lord Chancellor of England, is often thought of as the father of modern science. He said that there were two books which we should read. One was the Scriptures and the other was the book of nature.
In fact, the book, What If Jesus Had Never Been Born, documents that every major branch of science was founded by a Christian. Here's a list of them. These scientists did not believe that nature was just a cosmic accident. Instead, they believed in design by the hand of God.
All the early Renaissance scientists that you're reading about in your textbook, textbooks in astronomy, were strong believers in design, such as Copernicus and Kepler and Galileo and Isaac Newton, Boyle and Maxwell. All these were strong believers in a design universe. And it's only recently that trend has changed.
I have to say, when you look at science as your motivation to get rid of God, rather than science as the means to understand Him and His work, you're starting in two different places, okay? You have to check your brain at the door to be an atheist. You have to become an educated atheist, because you're not born that way. You have to go into some school to learn that, because the heavens and earth declare the glory of God. You either have something out of nothing, which in any logical way of thought is checking your brain at the door, or something that is so greater than the something you see in the visible realm that He must be so awesome that I really need to discover how He's done this. Thus, science. Science only illustrates and demonstrates how awesome God is. So it's a different starting place with a different goal in mind.
Indeed, one of the greatest scientists of all time, Sir Isaac Newton, also decried raw unbelief.
Atheism is so senseless. When I look at the solar system, I see the Earth at the right distance from the Sun to receive the proper amounts of heat and light. This did not happen by chance.
Sir Isaac Newton once served as the president of the Royal Society of London. This is the world's oldest and most prestigious scientific society still in operation. It was founded in a Puritan college in the 1660s, and most of the early scientists of the society were Puritans.
In the early days of science, it's certainly true that there was no sense in which science and religion were antagonistic.
Science arises out of Christians who believe the universe is understandable because it's created by a God who loves order and beauty and who made it the way it is and made it in a way that we can understand it using mathematics. There's so many things there that come right out of the Bible. And so the idea that faith is at odds with science or that faith is at odds with education, that in order to be a person of faith you have to check your brain at the door, not only is that not true, but precisely the opposite is true.
In short, no Jesus, no science.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.